that energy up. Welcome back, everybody. I don't think I need to play up the impact of recent history on Generation Z, or Gen Z for those in the know.
Yeah,
for Zeds in my age range, particularly those in my very attractive audience.
I'm looking at the audience.
This decade has been a long 15 years. We graduated high school with the ambition and expectations of the Xers that came before us. We'd finally end up with a group of peers that somewhat share our experiences, efforts in the education system, and our struggles with socialization. Destiny would finally bring us to the people that understand us. And then that semester and a half came to a close. We were hopeful, ready, our britches ready to bounce on to the next chapter of our lives. And then that moment ended. We went back home. We went online. We earned half of our degrees with bloodshot eyes from staring at the same glitchy Zoom screens. Most of the college experience we busted our asses for was spent in the same room we started in. We got our education, for better or worse, and did what we could in the fucked up world presented to us. All points to the contrary, it really seemed like things would get better, eventually, that those in power would reassert the basic tenets of democracy. And yet here we are. The bad guys are Bond villain monologuing with Project 2025. The Tangerine Turd got some glass to the ear and the greatest ad campaign of his life. And increasing segments of the government institutions who are supposed to enforce the rule of law want to eject the only good option and hand the keys to the person who blatantly intends to end democracy as a whole. So, here's the thing. To paraphrase country music legend Garth Brooks, we are much too young to feel this damn old. A common sentiment I see among Gen Z media carries a familiar message, whether it be in the Squidward meme, reposted Bo Burnham songs, or comedic news content. I'm tired of living through major historical events.
Heard.
Semi-fortunately, most of us have grown up with a seething fountain of knowledge and cynicism bottled up in a psychological callus known as Generation X. They grew up in an era where the baby boomers truly did not give a flying or floored fuck about whether they lived, died, or affected their tax bracket. For most of their natural lives, Gen X could unite and mutually kvetch about the lack of care their families, institutions, or government gave to them. It's a surprisingly comforting thought, knowing for sure that everyone in your age range was watching the same 4 channels and the same 100 senators didn't give 200 shits about you.
That's a lot of shits.
Math skills.
Yes. One thing that gave, and honestly still gives, Gen X a sense of power, immunity, and a feeling that nothing could truly hurt them was the knowledge that no one with any semblance of power gave a damn about what they thought. Thus was the benefit of a more analog world. The problem these days is feeling that same lack of control, influence, and direction in a world that constantly demands input without a common identity. Gen X can usually relate to one another through the same shit they watched on the same 4 channels available to them at the same time. If you want to get 2 Gen Xers talking, just ask them about how Star Trek made the time loop trope work years before Groundhog Day got the namesake. It'll be fun. Alongside the fact that Gen X can pride themselves on a subversive understanding of the social construction of reality, they can at least relate that concept to other Xers through common references. On the contrary, Gen Z grew up in an era filled with every fandom imaginable, from anime to tunes, from Burton to Snyder, from Python to Game Grumps. Fuck, the best of my generation had the spectrum from early Mel Brooks to, well, current Mel Brooks. There's so much out there for everyone to watch and discuss and play and theorize and every other bit of fandom crap under the sun, and it's terrifying. The more specific your interests get, the more you dig into a particular concept, the more you keep thinking about a particular subject, the harder it gets to talk to people about these things. The more you know and overanalyze a niche topic, the more harrowing it becomes to think that anyone would actually be interested in what you have to say, especially if you know how someone who has studied pop culture for their whole damn life might have something to say about it. And that's part of what makes it difficult for Zeds to form meaningful connections. Given what we know about each other and what we learned from Gen X, it's hard to present any of our interests to each other without first thinking about all the ramifications of sharing those interests and how it'll fuck up our future social interactions if we suddenly find out that we're the weird ones.
Oh, you are.
I know that. All this leads up to now. Xers know that things are fucked up. Zeds know that things are fucked up. The bad guys literally put out a project document to proselytize about their evil plan. It's easy to feel like no one sees how awful things are getting, especially with the lack of integrity displayed by the New York Times, the Washington Post, cable news, and, well, most of the late-night shows. According to the illustrious Fourth Estate, we're already fucked. But that ain't true. I mean, clearly, given that cynic Zed talk shows and gay furry hackers are still currently pissing the Altercockers off, the sense of hopelessness is not as inexorable as more established generations and institutions would have us believe. The fact that there are so many Zeds with an incredible array of interests and identities is already mind-boggling, but the fact that whole segments of Zeds can band together and cause neo-Nazi boomers to threaten future violence upon hypothetical anuses in such communities is a thing to behold.
Hypothetical anus, that was the name of my college ska band.
Yeah,
That was my concept album.
you only covered Morrissey because, well, you had to make his music good somehow. I guess what I'm saying is that my generation is thoroughly unexpected. Just like the Xers that came before us, we're going to be the sticker birds in the socks of hyper-conservative boomers. For better or worse, Gen Z is going to end up the next Gen X. And for better and worse, I wouldn't have it any other way.